cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife, leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. It's black and white.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Pure GT Social Races here on Jacko Racing. We are at the Land of the Rising Sun Suzuka. Hopefully you all can hear me nice and clean. Hopefully if you give me a thumbs up or let me know in the chat if you can hear me, that'd be fantastic. My name is Jack Oliphant, of course, hosting the Jacko Racing, and we actually joined the action really fairly into qualifying. Thank you very much, KT, for being giving another like. KT always around in the chat. Brilliant to have you along again. Yeah, we're going into Suzuka, and as I said, we're actually fairly into qualifying already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot you over to the action to see where everybody is sorting themselves out to. Oh, thank you very much as well for the share on the stream, Katie. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So as you can see, the action is already well underway, and well, let's have a look and see if we can see what kind of times everybody's been setting. Chris Knox seems to be on a rather quick lap here in the Ferrari. The new-looking livery there for the Ferrari 2021 livery. Sort of very, very keen to it. What's everybody's opinion on the green on the back wing? I'm not really sure what that part that. It's the engine cover, I think, isn't it? And as Chris Knox comes across the line, is it going to be another faster lap? It is, a 52.2. These guys only have a couple of laps to set their flying laps in, so we actually have 4 minutes left to qualify, and I can tell you that only 9 people out of the 24 that we have here tonight have set a qualifying time so far. Katie says, great track. Should make for a fun evening. Absolutely bang on. It is a brilliant track, actually. And, yeah, as you said, it should make for a good evening's racing. With any luck, Anthony Matt, a driver who I'm not entirely familiar with, is on a pretty quick... Oh, sorry, it's Anthony Mott, in fact. Actually, yeah, he is the a driver we have seen last week, but I think it's fair to say that he got rather tangled up with a few things left, right, and centre. He didn't quite have the evening he was probably hoping for. Oh, I love that. Who is that rocking the Brawn GP? It's the number 1 on the car, and that is Sam Marsh, I believe. And yeah, look at that. I am in love. If anybody ever... Jacko Racing's purple for a number of reasons. Mainly I went to Leeds Beckett University, and they're purple, black and white, and also created a company which was based around purple called League Above, and everything like that. So I'm a big purple guy, but otherwise it would have been that. It would have been the Brawn GP livery. Sort of green, white, and a little bit of black here and there, but instead I went for the purple, and I like my choice. I'm sticking with it, to be honest. But I actually have an exciting new sort of surround overlays that I'm designing over the next couple of days. It's actually going to debut on Friday, so really looking forward to that. If you're wondering what on earth is happening on Friday, I'll let you know soon. But of course, we've got some action out on track now. 14 drivers have now qualified, Kevin McGlone being one of them. Is that a McLaren? No, it's a Renault. It's a throwback Michelin-looking Renault, to be honest. Reminiscent of back when the Renault was blue and white, and blue and yellow. Looking rather smart. The Michelin car. We saw it last week, to be fair, and Kevin McGlone comes across the line. He improves himself, but he's not really close enough to challenge anywhere up the order. Anthony Mott and Chris Knox, by the way, they're just a tenth and a half between each other. So there's some really close fighting out there. Mike Moss in the, I think that's a standard iRacing livery. I could be wrong. Do correct me if I am wrong. Just a 700th of a second behind Mark Hoskin in 7th place at the moment. And as we are following Mike, he has got lighting the timing towers with green laps all over the place. Is he setting it? It's not an improved lap time, though. I don't think it's a valid lap time, which is a bit of a shame for him. Mark Radcliffe jumps a whole host of positions into 9th place. Drivers who we haven't seen set a lap time yet, who are notable, I would say, are Richard Abra, Alex Martin, John Westbrook, Christian Waiter. To be fair, they're all pretty notable, actually, so I might as well just read them all off. David Harrison, Richard Abra, Alex Martin, John Westbrook, Robert Veyer, Adam Hayes, and Nathan Gilmore. Having said that, I think one person did just, I think it was Alec Westbrook, did just set a lap time. Currently in 4th place. Martin Thomas with a flyer, 2.5 tenths off the overall pole position map. No, he's not. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Where is he? Oh, he's a good half a second off the pole position, man. But this is Alec Westbrook's in the John and Terry. It's the John and Terry. It's the slightly less exciting cartoon featuring 2 blokes from down the pub. No, it's Tom and Jerry delivery. I really quite like it. I'm not sure what the pink's about, but the rest of it is cracking. Alex Martin looks like they're setting a time now. Is it a valid lap time? That is the question. Oh, and qualifying is ended, so we're actually not entirely sure we'll be able to bring you the grid for the first race of the evening. Chris Knox on pole position, then followed by Anthony Mott in second, Martin Thomas in third, Alec Westbrook fourth with Clive Bailey in fifth place, Nick Phelps in sixth, Kevin McGlone in seventh, eighth was Mark Hoskin, ninth Mike Moss, 10th Mark Radcliffe, Sam Marsh and Michael Tucker at 11th and 12th. And 13th down is Andy Montgomery, Paul Black, John Newell, Wafer, Jennings, Westbrook, Abra, Hayes, Harrison Gilmore, Alex Martin, Albert Veyer, and then we're not finished there because 25th is Havernas Gevorgian and Barry Rabbit in 26th place. Very uncharacteristic lineup for Barry Rabbit, and it looks like we're going for a rolling start here this evening. That may well be a wise decision, because if anybody was tuning in to the Brands Hatch stream that we did last week, it was the first time that these guys jumped into the F3, and how to describe this nicely? It wasn't ideal, as it was the first ever time they actually tried to get these cars off the line, and if anybody's out there has driven the Dallara before, will know full well that it's not exactly an easy car to get off the line, so I fully respect their decision to go to a rolling start. Another interesting change of thought, shall we say, is they're going no damage here tonight. So, if anybody's wondering what that means, obviously in a sim, being it's not real life, you can change it so when they make contact with each other, or make contact with a wall or something, you don't actually take damage, so you don't need to come into the pits to repair anything. And the reason why they've done that, I'm sure sim racing enthusiasts and purists up and down the country watching this will be getting all aggravated right now. But the reason why they don't do it is because basically it was. Sorry, I was just reading the comments. Paul's coming and saying it was utter carnage, good for the spectators. Basically, the reason why they have no damage is so that drivers who were sort of caught up maybe completely by accident, it wasn't their fault, and just caught up in an incident, don't have 10 minutes of repairs and they can carry on racing. So a bit unfair to the drivers that maybe didn't do anything wrong, essentially. As Chris Knox gives us an awful load of throttle, a lot of tyre smoke to lead the drivers in behind. And we are rotating to start what will be the first of 3 races, remember. First, well, all 3 races are 15 minutes. The first 2 are back-to-back. And they've gone for a nighttime setting here. I don't know if they've gone for a real-time sunset here. The land of the rising sun seems to be setting quite significantly on them. But that's going to be very interesting, considering these guys don't have any lights on their cars, and I don't believe Suzuka is a lit circuit. So this could end badly for a number of ways. At least the pace car has a lights on it. But as we round out the final corner, we're just waiting for the green lights before Chris Knox can give it a bootload of power and drive this session away, and he has indeed. It's a good start by him. Not such a good start in the background. I think there's been 1 or 2 wheel spins, but Chris Knox already weaving to try and get heat in the tyres, because he's got a good start away from Anthony Mott, Martin Thomas and Alec Westbrook are nice and close. Oh, Anthony Mott giving a bit too much throttle through the first, well, the second apex really, and onto the S's now. A tricky section of corners in any car, let alone one with a cold rear end for Anthony Mott to get his head around, but it is one that does lend itself to nice sticky aerodynamics, which at least we've got that one here tonight. Although the F3 is a little bit more understeery than you might expect. You look at it and think it's basically an F1 car that has a lot less downforce than an F1 car. I can absolutely guarantee you that. And the leader of this race, look at that, is the Ferrari. I don't think we'll be seeing that too often in the 2021 F1 season, but at the moment it's the Ferrari liveried Chris Knox who's at the top of the order. Another thing I would doubt that we see very often is a Scot piloting the Ferrari, especially leading a race. So a very interesting one. Well, when I say I don't think that's very often, to be fair, I don't know the roster of history of F1 drivers, but you won't be seeing it next year, that's for sure. Oh, as we cut to Alex Martin, there's a big crash just behind. I think Mark Hoskins part of it. The BDM orange and black F3 car, and he passes one of the drivers that's facing backwards at the moment. That's Michael Tucker. And it's not going to... In fact, Michael Tucker's another one of these cars that's gone for the Brawn GP looking machine, haven't they? So clearly a popular choice. But Alex Martin, after all that clutter and confusion, is up to 9th place and has gained 14 positions since the start of this race. just trying to get the timing tower. There we go. So, the top 6 as they were. Chris Knox, Anthony, Martin Thomas, Alec Westbrook, Clive Bailey and Nick Phelps are all as they were off the start line. And the rest of the field is very much interchanged. We've had a couple of drivers, Sam Marshall, down 11 places. And although there is no... in fact, it's getting quite hard to see the drivers, isn't it, on the stream, hopefully. Maybe we'll have to whack the brightness up a little bit. But it's not the best planning, is it? By the drivers here, it's very difficult to see, to be honest. I'd be amazed. I haven't messed with the settings, by the way. It's not like the game is any darker. This will be how exactly like the drivers are dealing with it at the moment with this kind of visibility. Surely in the second race and the third race, we're not going to see it get any darker than this, because that will be undrivable, I'm sure. That's maybe why we're seeing so many little incidents here and there. Shall we have a little look back to what's happened right at the beginning? Well, Alex Martin, Alex Martin actually just a second, because facing backwards. Oh my days. Well, we'll have a look at what happened to Alex right at the start of this one. They just slowed down, trying to avoid... Oh no, this is right at the beginning, and look at already. I mean, even on a rolling start, some of the drivers can't seem to get themselves going with the wheels spinning left, right and centre. And that was actually before we got the green flag. So that's how far back we had to go there. I want to have a look and see what happened to Alex Martin right on that... In fact, this is Mark Radcliffe. What's happened here? Oh, tap up the inside there. Maybe that's why we saw a lot of dust out there as well. And Alex Martin went off track here. Oh, too much power. Touched the gravel and into the wall. Now, there's no damage, but it's whether or not they can spin the car back round without doing a 3-point turn. And there we go. Big load of power and away we go. Chris Knox is, I was about to say, in the pits because they disappeared on the timing tower, but he is right here and is looking good, if only you could see him. I'm not sure if we are going to be able to improve the sort of time. What time of day have they got going on here? Just give me 1 second while I try and find out. There we go. Bring it up on the right-hand side of your screen. And it is 7:15 in the evening, and we're running an hour back from... well, it's not an hour back from now, is it? It's an hour and a half back from now, really. But they have set this up to be a 7 o'clock start, and it's... yeah, Kate Hughes has noticed that there's no lights on the circuit. So, yeah, there we go. We'll stop trying to bring it up and focusing on it, but to be honest, it's pretty difficult to see anything else. And that's not just because I've got a webcam shining away in my eyes. I've actually lost where the weather is there. There it is. So Barry Rabbit up 16 positions in the 7-up car, up to 10th position, doing really well as well. It started right at the back, very uncharacteristic to see Barry all the way down on basically the penultimate place. But seems to be doing well, avoiding the traffic, avoiding the carnage, carving through, and setting some good lap times as well. John Westbrook is a driver who hasn't had such a good start, mainly actually, as I've just seen, because he hasn't taken the start. He has yet to set a lap time, and he's yet to even complete 1/10 of the lap. So he's all down in 25th position, as well with Albert Veyer, who I think was involved in the session last time, but didn't set off either. So we do have a couple of ghost cars, you could argue. Kevin McGlone going side by side, although he know where his competitor is? Who knows, through 150R. And, well, they were better than going side by side there, weren't they? That would have been really rather foolish. I fear is a big lockup, gives a puff of smoke into the drivers behind. And, in fact, that's probably the biggest light they have on the circuit, apart from those being emitted by the brake discs, of course. Very strange choice of timing here. Paul Black and Nick Phelps. Now, look at this. It's a nice... in fact, it's not Nick Phelps. It's Mark Hoskin. Nice little tidy battle here between the BDM car, who's just dropped back and potentially into the clutches of Barry Rabbit, who's looking to improve on the 16 positions he's gained with maybe 17. And tell you what, he won't be finished there. Paul Black will be on his radar. Why is it a night race with cars with no light? Your guess is as good as mine. Memphon in the YouTube chat. Absolutely no idea. I tell you what it doesn't do, make great spectacle. When the lights are on, a night race is fantastic, but it makes everything a little bit more difficult. Nathan Gilmore has had a crash. No, that's him jumping into the pit. I'll see why he jumped into the pit. So there is no damage. So I can't believe that it's because of the damage. Maybe he can't see anything. But it looks like he's going round and pulls off and thinks, no, I've had enough of this. Maybe struggling with the car a touch. There has been a slight change in the top 6, which is, well, top 5, sorry, which is something that we haven't said very often tonight so far. Alec Westbrook has overtaken Martin Thomas and dropped him by 1.5 seconds. You can just about see the bright green car in the background. That is Martin Thomas. You can only just about see the dark pink car, can't you, in the foreground here. I'll try and mess around with the settings, see if I can make the brightness any better on the actual game. They need some glow-in-the-dark paint on the liveries. All those kids glow-in-the-dark stars and planets. Oh, yeah, that would be very useful. And actually would make pretty good liveries. Maybe they should, iRacing needs to import that in to have the lighting effects on the car. Even just some LEDs. It would look awesome if they had some LEDs under the cars, wouldn't there? A bit of Need for Speed Underground style. I used to really want them. I don't think they'd quite suit my Audi. Barry Rabbit has not only got past into 9th position, but he's also overtaken Paul Black as well, and he's up to 8th. And in fact, Christian Wafer is up 7 positions and overtaken Paul Black as well. So Christian in 9th position is doing really well. We do have lots of crashes going on. I'm trying not to focus on every single one, but let's have a look at John Newell's. Right, pit going into the final chicane. Yeah, tricky braking zone, and collect. Oh, and collect, and yeah, well. That looked like my my puppy on his soft toys. That was a bit unfortunate. I think that was with Alexander Martin, I believe. Adam Hayes has had an incident, but you wouldn't know it because the iRacing doesn't know where he's had such an incident. Is it here going into the final corner? Yep, that's another lockup and lags in and out of existence anyway, which is unfortunate. So Chris Knox has been slowly caught, just take my word for it, he is, by Anthony Mott in 2nd place. And look at that, a little bit of a train of drivers, to be honest. I think that is the top 3 all in your picture. They're chasing down Harrison in 23rd. So David Harrison is the driver in 23rd. And look at this, Anthony Mott is all over the back of Chris Knox now as they try and dive through Harrison. Going through the S's to start the final 5 minutes of this race, and I will maybe send a message to the admins to see if they can restart the server and put it about 5 hours back to try and get some daylight for us, because I think that is probably one of the biggest reasons that we're losing quite a few drivers due to braking zones. People can't see their driving their braking points. Oh, big slide in the background there by Alec Westbrook. People can't see their driving points, their braking points. They can certainly see their brakes though, can't they? As Chris Knox is forced to go a touch wide by Anthony, who's certainly got the pace on him at the moment. The last lap by Alec Westbrook, actually, was a 152.2. Chris Knox nearly 2 seconds off that in their last lap. So that is why he's been caught so heavily, and he's been hit heavily as well by Anthony Mott. And Chris goes straight into the tyres. And that means Alec Westbrook has taken over the lead of this race. Anthony Mott stays in 2nd place, but is now following another driver. And let's have a look and see how all that happened again. Oh, just after, though, we see what happened to Kevin McGlone. A touch on the outside there. Is that going to be what is causing this replay? No, it's not, because I'm not even looking at the right driver. Oh, the spinner in front. Oh, it was almost a spinner, wasn't it? And then he managed to hold it, and then Kevin turned him around. And let's have a look and see then. Chris Knox, big hit of the inside by Anthony Mott, didn't he? Missed the braking zone completely. Oh, Alec Westbrook, what is happening here? We're on to the white flag, but Martin Thomas has overtaken him, and what has happened? Oh, I fear. Oh, I see Anthony Mott's gone off as well. Oh no, it's just a braking straight over the chicane. Oh, and then makes contact with Anthony Mott, who's going around the outside of him there. So Martin Thomas has now taken the lead of this race. And as I said, trust me when I tell you that, because not necessarily You can't see the drivers behind. I can tell you what. Westbrook, Alec Westbrook, this is. 152.2 is his fastest lap. He set that on, not last lap, the one before. Martin Thomas's best lap is a 153.8, but actually he's currently lapping in a 154, so this isn't Martin Thomas's race necessarily. He needs to keep it on the black stuff to start with. Alec Westbrook's clawing all over the back, going into the hairpin. Thought better of going up the inside there. Good call by Alec, because that was always going to be a closing door, I fear. Martin sweeping around the right-hand side, though. You need to keep it relatively close to that right-hand side because you need to level off the braking zone. Now, braking in a straight line into the left-hander. And one of the biggest problems that we may have seen these drivers missing their braking points and going into the back of each other is because these cars, I don't think, even have brake lights in the rear side. Is it a night race? Screen very dark. Paul Waver, it is a night race. Don't ask me, I didn't set it up. Westbrook and Thomas going side by side through 150R. It's never a good thing to go side by side there, but it looks like Westbrook's managed to go and get it into the last chicane. Though Willie misses braking point again, and I'm right, they don't have rear view lights, and all of a sudden my screen has gone pretty much pitch black apart from the glowing tyres, and I'm not sure why. Alec Westbrook, Martin Thomas has gone into the wall. Anthony Mott has taken the lead. Everything's just gone completely pitch black. This isn't my screen. This isn't something wrong with the... This is everybody's point of view. Mike Moss is in the pit lane. Anthony Mott is currently in first place. We have the checkered flag, and Anthony Mott has taken the checkered flag. Anthony Mott has taken the checkered flag. Mike Moss, I believe, is second place somehow. And look at that. You can see that it's not something to do with my screen because there's a torch there of somewhere. I can't even tell you where we are on the circuit, to be honest. This is, I've never seen this. We have just had week 13 with iRacing. Maybe something's gone wrong with that has caused this glitch. I'm not sure, because it is only 7:30 at night, and all of a sudden going into the final corner of the final lap, everything just went pitch black. I'm honestly lost for words. I don't know how to explain that one. I'm trying to wait for the results because it's not like we can see anything. Don't think Sky will be going all out to see it, show it. Not much to see. Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, there we go. I'll bring you up the results. There we go. There they are. I don't know if anybody actually managed to get across the line, but we are now. I'll tell you what. There's the results. Just give me a second. I'm going to see if we can talk to a few people.
Hey there, Jacko. For some reason, I managed to take late afternoon.
So apparently, we're going into a new server. I don't know. Apparently, it's something to do with how they set it up. Chris just came and told me, but we're going into a new server. So I'll be going on a quick break, and hopefully we'll have lights when we come back. Fingers crossed. We're back in a sec. Sorry about this, but yeah, these things happen sometimes. But yeah, enjoy some music. I'll try and put some music on or something.
Green flag. Green flag.
cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly.
Hello and welcome back, and we are back, and we will be with sunlight. We have lights to watch the actual racing with. We still have 2 races coming up, but it is a little bit of a delay now, obviously. Thank you very much to everybody who's been commenting. Apparently, we're about to go straight into the second race of the evening. When I say straight in, it's not quite as straight in as it would have been, but we are on a new server, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this will bring us the good luck. I'm not sure how they're gridding. Might be completely random. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a bit of a rush, apparently. But yeah, thank you very much to Paula Hoskin, who's given a like on the stream, and also who has been commenting away, as well as Christian Rafer. Apologies, with all that sort of coming said and done, we didn't actually get a chance to finally sort of give out the final finishing positions, but we did have it up on screen. Apologies if we didn't get to read it out or anything like that, but fingers crossed this will all go a little bit more smoothly now. So let's shoot over back to the official big screen picture. There we go, and as you can see, we are now actually looking like we are about to go racing, which is fantastic news. So I'll just pause the music, bring that all down, and focus on who I believe is our race victor, Martin Thomas, although I've just realised you still can't hit. There we go. There we go. We have now advanced the session, so let's go for it. Let's bring up the grid. Barry Rabbit on pole position, Clive Bailey in second place, and Mark Radcliffe in third. Christian Wafer was in fourth, Martin Thomas in fifth, Sam Marsh in sixth, Havana's Gevorgian seventh place, Paul Black in eighth, Mark Hoskin ninth, John Newell in 10th, Michael Tucker in 11th, and Adam Hayes in 12th. And as I said, no idea how they've done this grid. I think it may well just be completely random. John Westbrook 13th, Gilmore in 14th, Alex Martin 15th, Alec Westbrook in 16th position, Kevin McGlone and Chris Knox 17th and 18th, Andy Montgomery and David Harrison in 19th, 20th, Richard Abra, Jennings, Moss and Phelps round out your 24. And then we just got one more in Anthony Mott right at the back of the field. So that is your order, and we'll be bringing you a fast and furious action here for the Pure GT social race. Well, that's not what we needed to see right at the beginning, was it? I'm sure that's probably not what Kevin McGlone wanted, and then a few of let's just go to the fun. Hopefully we don't see any of that as we actually get going, because it's going to be Barry Rabbit who's leading the way. You got Clive Bailey, Christian Wafer and Mark Radcliffe. It's not that difficult to follow each other, going about 5 miles an hour, but look at that, it's an early get-go from Barry Rabbit, and straight away, I wasn't even expecting him to go that early, but it's an absolutely flying start by Barry Rabbit over the line, and we are racing here tonight for the second time this evening. Clive Bailey's in second. Christian Wafer has managed to gain a position, even though we weren't actually racing, into third place, followed by Martin Thomas, who's got a Mark Radcliffe for company right behind him. And remember, these tyres will be cold. Nick Phelps has had it off. Mark Radcliffe in fifth place. Sam Marsh in 6th, 7th, Havana's Gevorgian. Well, it was Havana's Gevorgian. It's no longer, and that's going to cause a huge incident. Hold your brakes, son. Chris Knox is flying around. Kevin McGlone was flying around there as well. And Peter Jennings looking the wrong way, spins himself. It's back into Kevin McGlone. They're still crashing all up ahead. But right at the front of the field is Barry Rabbit. He gained a ton of positions in the first race, and looks like he's not having to gain any at the moment, because he's absolutely flying through the order. Clive Bailey's had a little bit of a spin of the rear wheel, shall we say, and that's let Martin Thomas get through. And one driver who's gained 12 positions so far is Richard Abra, but we'll focus on him in a second, because it looks like Clive Bailey's got Sam Marsh real up for company there. And I thought Sam was potentially going to die, but actually he may well scupper his drive onto the back straight. It looks like he got away with it slightly as they come down towards the back straight. I think this is where some of the pit stops start. In fact, I think this is where, yeah, going through 150R. I'm not entirely sure what that is. The national pits, maybe? Side by side, though, that is a cracking bit of driving. The fact that they haven't come into each other, it's always worth noting that as they're going towards. Oh, as I say that too early, commentators curse. Straight off the track goes Alec Westbrook as well. And then Michael Tucker, who looks very, very similar to Sam Marsh in the Brawn GP car as well, going off in 6th position. Richard Abra is somewhere amongst this train, and he's gained 13 places up to 8th, and I think he's actually the driver number 2 there on your screen. Yeah, there he is. Flies into the first corner, and, well, at least we can see what we're doing in the second race tonight. Chris Knox is actually still up here, in all fairness, even though he was spun round quite heavily in the opening lap. It seems to have got his car back in order. It's not like he's got any damage to contend with. And he's got going again. Just having a look. Oh no, I was looking at my timing tower and he's gone well off there on the right-hand side. And all his hard work seems to be for nothing as he's about to be... No, he's not being overtaken by Mark Radcliffe and Paul Black. They go side by side. Nicely though, aren't they? Oh, who's that turning the wrong way around? That's not Anthony Mott. That's Paul Black, I believe. No, it's not. I'm not sure who that was, actually. Oh, somebody's had an off. Is that Martin Thomas and Sam Marsh? I think it is. What's happened to Martin Thomas here? Is he going to come back on? Oh, Sam Marsh in the background and Alec Westbrook. Then Martin Thomas spins the rear wheels. Again, Alec Westbrook. Let's see how he ended up on the inside of the circuit. Oh, it's just a spin by Sam Marsh. And Alec Westbrook gets caught in it. So... after all that, John Westbrook is in 2nd place, gaining 11 positions so far. Right, Richard Abra is getting 17. He's up to 4th with Chris Knox up 12 positions somehow. After everything he's been through, is now in 6th place. Stunning. The last lap put in by Barry Rabbit was the fastest lap of the race by quite some margin. Apart from Martin Thomas... and tell you what, everybody behind him, down to Paul Black in 8th place, he was 10 seconds a lap quicker on that previous lap, which is why he's got 10 seconds gap between himself and John Westbrook. Alex Martin and Chris Knox here. Chris going up the inside, doing it nicely. Is there a fight back here by Alex Martin? Doesn't seem to be. Oh, I thought there was potentially going to be. It's one of those moments where you really have to sort of hold your breath and hope that these drivers aren't going to collide into each other. As Paul Black and Clive Bailey doing a similar amount of fighting through the 2nd corner. Hey, the man on the move, the man we can't really take our eyes off at the moment is Chris Knox. 1.5 seconds back from Richard Abra, but we know he's got good pace. He was leading the race for a long time. Now where's Anthony Mott? Because he was a driver absolutely flying, and here he is actually carving through the order in 13th place, up 12 positions so far, which is pretty decent because I seem to remember him facing the wrong way before we even got going. So pretty impressive that he's managed to do this. He's going to go around the outside. No, maybe a cutback on Kevin McLeod. Oh, he's trying to cut back there, get a good drive out, but Kevin got a decent one. It's not going to be good enough though to hold off the attack from the Excite driver, and it's time to get excited if you're a fan of Anthony Mott, because he's going to look up the right-hand side, around the outside potentially. No, is there cut back on? Again, these cars slightly understeer more than you expect, and Anthony Mott has to deal with the fact that he's going to be behind Kevin McLeod again, but he's not going to be behind Paul Black as they go through on the 111 driver, who got a bit of a squirrely moment. Anthony Mott trying to go back onto the racing line now, but Paul Black's on the outside. On the inside, though, is Kevin McLeod, who's fending off Anthony Mott. I'll tell you what, this is a much better race. Now we can actually see all the action that's going. Oh, no, as I say that, straight into the back goes Paul Black, I believe that was, on Anthony Mott. And Anthony, yet again, has seen himself being turned around. Here is a fight to keep an eye out on, though, isn't it? Michael Tucker chasing Richard Abra, but also being chased by Chris Knox in 5th position, and this is a fight for what is the bottom step of the podium, essentially. Which, speaking of which, hopefully we'll be able to bring you the results of this race, because we didn't really get to do a very good job of that last time, man. Do apologise for those little technical issues. Having a look and seeing who else is around and about, maybe who's gained some decent positions. Nick Phelps and Anthony Mott, although Anthony had that big incident with Paul Black, is still up 12 positions from his starting place, all the way down in 25th. Alec Westbrook is in the pits after being binned on the previous lap. Oh, look at Chris Knox now, though. He's right up the inside and fighting with Michael Tucker, who maybe just got slightly intimidated out of that one. It looked like well, it was a clean move by Chris, but it looked a touch easy, I reckon. I think he showed his nose on the inside, and maybe Michael didn't need to try and cut back, but he's cutting back now on 150R. Oh my days, I thought that was going to be a huge crash, but no. Chris has gotten through and carried the momentum nice and clean, so Michael couldn't take as much power through there. And speaking of power, he gets too much down on the circuit there. The rear wheels spinning up, and all of a sudden his fight for 4th place is dissipating rapidly. If anybody's wondering who's got the fastest lap of the race, though, it's the driver who's currently sat in 2nd in the Williams car. Just noticed that's the Williams car. I mean, I sort of like, don't get me wrong, I quite like it, but it does look like a bit of a basic livery, doesn't it? One of the Williams car. I think I saw a comment about it from Chaz Draycott, another fellow commentator, saying that it essentially looks like one of those basic liveries from the My Team career mode on the F1 games. It's not fantastic in my opinion. It's a good change, I would say, away from trying to be all white. Does it stand out? It probably stands out as much as the Ferrari does, which, shock horror, is red. Let me know in the comments what your favourite F1 livery that has been announced for 2021. I have to say, I quite like Alfa Romeo's cheek, where they've just flipped it. Flipped the colour schemes. I think the Red Bull is exactly the same. There's not much change there at all. Aston Martin, I suppose, is the biggest change, going from the Racing Point pink to the British Racing green of Aston Martin. I was hoping that it would be slightly more spectacular than it was. It looked not quite the green I was hoping for in the pictures. I mean, I didn't get to watch any of the testing, so I'm not sure on that one, but maybe it looked better on the grid. But let me know in the comments what your favourite F1 livery for 2021 is. Or even if you watch F1 at all. I admit I'm not a huge, massive fan of it. But Martin Thomas is, oh my days, turned around there and very well, I'll say turned around. We're not entirely sure what happened to Martin Thomas. Let's see if we can find out. I think he just ended up spinning on his own. No, he's with Hoskin, but then he outbrakes himself trying to outbrake Hoskin and turns around, and that's a very, very close call between himself and Sam Marsh. This is a fight we've got to focus on, really. Although we'll come back to it because Christian Wafer in the AlphaTauri is going neck and neck with Mike Moss up the inside. Goes the AlphaTauri, and it is a good move up the inside into the first corner here at Suzuka. And the Honda-driven F3, which isn't really Honda-driven, is up to 14th place. As I was saying about the F1, I'm not a particularly huge F1 fan. It has its place, don't get me wrong. Has its place on my weekend schedule, which has been interrupted somewhat since getting a dog. And also the fact that there is no F1 at the moment, or racing in general. But if there was a choice between the British touring cars and the Formula 1, I would pick the British touring cars every day of the week. It's not surprising, considering that the relation I've got in it. But yeah, still there you go. Chris Knox going around the outside of 150 of Richard Aber into 150R. And Richard really didn't look like he put up much of a fight there, did he? I was expecting a bit more of a a heavyweight tussle between the two of these drivers, but it wasn't to be, and the last podium position has been gifted, I would say, the way of Chris Knox. He was absolutely flying, don't get me wrong, he had really good pace, but it wasn't exactly the move or the fight that I was hoping for from Richard Abra. Oh no, we saw Christian Wafer go through. Well, what's happened to him here? He's had a bit of an off going through the second, no, it's not the second of the Japanese lesmos, as I like to call them. As he goes through, oh no, he's just over-rotated and took too much speed in and then lost the grip on the inside. And he's had to settle for losing that position. We are on the white flag lap though, which means Barry Rabbit is doing very well to keep himself going through the second lesmo here, Japanese lesmo. Anybody wondering what the lesmos are, it's the set of corners at Monza, very famous. Probably because they're one of the few corners at Monza that aren't actually a chicane. KTM's green isn't quite right on the Aston Martin, I agree. Renault looks good this year, McLaren will stand out as always. BTT is a preferred watch for the 5-year-old, so we'll watch that together, then F1 recorded later. Yeah, absolutely, the BTCC is short sprint racing, suited for those with a slightly shorter attention span, or those with the mental age of a 5-year-old, which I do. Also, if you're sort of not really into F1 that much, give your thoughts on the new BMW livery. It's been announced today. If you haven't seen it, head over to Twitter and have a look. But obviously, I think it's quite smart. I'll be honest, I preferred last year's. Barry Rabbit though rounds out the final corners to win the second time this evening, as long as he can get everything nice and in line, and he is, with a good power burst right to the checkered flag. It is Barry Rabbit who takes the checkered flag ahead of what will be John Westbrook, who's come out the final complex to take second place, and Chris Knox takes home third position. The top three there for you. Barry Rabbit, ironically, the leader of this race, the only driver to have not moved from their position on the grid, taking that victory. Barry Rabbit. John Westbrook going into the first corner, kitty litter. Barry walking it, says Housie. Absolutely correct, Housie. Barry didn't really have to stretch his legs at all. Managed the fact that he was 10 seconds ahead and then just happily came around and finished the race, which is always nice for a racing driver's perspective. And we'll be able to bring you the results as soon as they're available, as soon as everybody stops crashing into each other as well, or heads on to their, oh, yeah, well, they like to do this sometimes. We'll focus on John Westbrook doing a few donuts in the gravel for us, and then we'll bring you up the race results as soon as possible. I'm not sure if we'll be going straight in to the third race. I feel like we've already had our break, so hopefully we'll go straight in, because if we do go straight in, then we'll be pretty much only about 2 minutes behind schedule, and that's pretty well going, considering the amount of stuff that we had to, we had to change server halfway through. Here's the race results then. In fact, we are gridding up already, which is nice. Actually, just to make sure, I think we're going into a warm-up. We are going into a warm-up, so I'll just check how long the warm-up is. Hopefully it isn't a 10-15 minute one, because we've already had a 10-15 minute break. Barry Rabbit wins the second race of the evening, followed by John Westbrook. Chris Knox was in third place after carving through the order nicely, as well as John, to be fair. Richard Abba is in fourth, Alex Martin in fifth, Michael Tucker in sixth, and Martin Thomas ending up seventh place. Clive Bailey was in eighth, Kevin McGlow ninth, and Anthony Mott, after a tumultuous time, was in the top 10, but only just. Nick Phelps in 11th place, Mark Radcliffe in 12th, Sam Marsh in 13th place, Christian Wafer after the spin at the end was in 14th, Mike Moss in 15th, Andy Montgomery 16th, 17th David Harrison, and Adam Hayes in 18th place. 19th was John Newell. Havana Gevorgian was the last driver who wasn't lapped. He was in 20th. Mark Hoskin was 21st and a lap down. Paul Black was 3 laps down. Alec Westbrook 4 laps down. Peter Jennings 6 laps down. And Nathan Gilmore didn't even take the start. So it looks like we have a 15-minute warm-up, which means I'm going to go very quickly to a quick break And then we'll be getting going as soon as possible. As soon as everybody is back and ready to go, we'll be getting racing again. So, let's shoot you to the race info screen and shoot you over to the pause menu. Back in a sec.
Cold as a touch, dead in the eyes. No signs of life, no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life, no more. No, love may never fly.
As I was saying, we're going to a quick break. I've just been notified that we're going straight into the next race. So let's bring you at the grid order. Michael Tucker is on pole position, apparently, with Alex Martin in second place. Richard Aber in third, and Chris Knox in fourth. John Westbrook is in fifth. Barry Rabbit in sixth place, so it's a top 6 reverse grid. Normally that is reserved for the second race of the evening, and then top 12 for the third. But clearly, they've just done top 6 for this second battle. Martin Thomas was in 7th with Clive Bailey in 8th. Kevin McGlone in 9th with Anthony Mott in 10th place. Nick Phelps is in 11th with Mark Radcliffe in 12th. 13th down is Sam Marsh, Christian Wafer, Mike Moss, Andy Montgomery, David Harrison, Adam Hayes, John Newell, Havana Gevorgian in 20th, Mark Hoskin 21st, Paul Black 22nd, Alec Westbrook 23rd, Peter Jennings in 24th. And last but not least on the grid is Nathan Gilmore as the safety car takes them away, and a lot of wheel spin and a lot of tyre smoke. I'm certain that we're going to have a lot of action here, as well as we get going with Michael Tucker, the Brawn GP on the front row. Next to Alex Martin, who I would say that's probably an iRacing basic livery, but I'm going to go ahead and reminisce that that may be a McLaren-ish style livery, maybe. Looks like a McLaren Mercedes with the black livery, but yeah, we're going to go with it. Looks like a few more drivers are going quite well, and Michael Tucker, does he go as early as Barry? Yes, Barry absolutely uses and abuses the fact that we're racing before the line here and flies into the first place. Now, that is something you can do on iRacing. Would I say it's something that I'm a fan of? No. But you can also do that in NASCAR. We see it a lot. But yeah, we're here now. So Michael Tucker in second place, Alex Martin in third, then Richard Abrams dropped down to fourth, Chris Knox in fifth, with John Westbrook in sixth position. Havana Gevorgian's had a bit of an off, with a few other drivers carving through the order, one of which is Anthony Mott, up 3 places in 7th place, and hoping to make it more, I'm sure, as they're going through, maybe with John Westbrook. No, he collides with John Westbrook and Martin Thomas, and there's a huge incident there for the Excite driver, maybe getting a little bit too excited. Oh, as there's more drama just up ahead, and to be honest, I'm amazed that it didn't include Anthony at all at the end there, as Barry Rabbit is leading the way. So I think Sam Marsh has been involved. Oh, Anthony going very, very close. Spinner on the outside there. I think that's Havana Gevorgian. Richard Abra had an incident. Let's have a look and see what this is. Oh no, it's Havana's on the outside of the hairpin. Oh, just over-rotated the rear. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe locked up. I don't know. Maybe down the gears too quickly. It just looked like the rear diff locked. Chris Knox has gone through on Michael Tucker to take second place now. Could we see a good battle between the driver who walked the second race and the driver who was looking like he was walking the first race, right up until Anthony Mott became involved and ended up ending their race early for both of them. Here is Anthony Mott and Alec Westbrook. Alec going through on Anthony there, but missing the apex just about, keeping it on the track. And I tell you what, that is the latest break you'll see that it doesn't end up in a crash or an off track. Alec Westbrook going very well through the final corner. He's lost a lot of momentum though. This could be Anthony Mott's opportunity to go around the outside of turn 1 at Suzuka. Has Never a good opportunity, and he's thought a lot better of it. Barry and Chris have already caught nicely up to each other, and we're going to go on roll bar with Chris Knox for half a lap to see how much he can gain on Barry in the 7-Up car. Through the first of the Japanese Lesmos, through the second of the Japanese Lesmos. I'm sure that isn't their real name. I'm not sure what their real name is, to be honest. I think I looked it up once, and it was far too complicated for me to understand or to pronounce, so I just call them Lesmos. Look at that, really good under braking, clips the apex nicely. Now, I was speaking to Chris, because I noted last week that he didn't, I wasn't entirely sure on his real driving experience. I had an idea, but I didn't want to say it and then end up being wrong and getting mixed up with another driver. But he confirmed it. He was a Fast and Furious stunt driver, was Chris Knox, if you didn't know already. Obviously, those of you who are probably racing will know that. But yeah, he was a Fast and Furious stunt car driver. And if anybody's seen the Fast and Furious films, well, you'll know how much that probably tested him. It's a very... make unrealistic look realistic, please. I'm guessing the bits that aren't CGI'd is what Chris Knox was doing. He's also, from memory, I'll just get up what he said. I think he's a mini... I want to make sure I'm getting the dates right. That's why I'm just having a quick look at it. Yeah, double JCW Mini Challenge Champion in 2011 and 2014. He also raced internationally at Daytona, Laguna Seca and Lime Rock, not Suzuka. But maybe that was why he was choosing Lime Rock earlier in the season when we first broadcast the series to do the Ferrari F3s in. Not yet been to Daytona or Laguna Seca though, so interesting to see if we end up going there. Here's Alec Westbrook though, look at this with Anthony Mott. Now these two drivers have clearly got the pace. But I have to say, Alec, even though he's part of the Excite crew, and the Excite crew are very, very good, his racecraft hasn't been on point, and it's shown again there with Alec Westbrook trying to carry on circuit. Hopefully we don't see any other drivers getting involved in the incident. John Newell's gone through, but I think everybody else has been fairly safe from that crash. And that was just an unnecessary incident, really, wasn't it? It's you could say it was a racing incident, but we've had a fair few of them. A few too many, potentially. They're just coming through, and I don't know, it's difficult to say. Maybe somebody would say he was on the racing line after coming back on and going very slowly. Some might say that Alex should have lifted because there was nowhere else for him to go. I'll let you guys decide that in the chat. I'm not here to steward the race, I'm just here to shout at my monitor. And I'm doing a lot of shouting at my monitor today as well, by the way. It's very exciting racing, action-packed. Michael Tucker, one of the Brawn cars, starting on pole position. Too many stabs at the rat, and ends up turning the car around. It's a lively car. It's not quite as lively as the likes of the Porsche GT3, but it's lively enough that you can't take 15 stabs at turning the car in before you end up getting on the power. It's far too light at the rear for that sort of approach. Martin Thomas and Paul Black. These two drivers we've been focusing an awful lot on, haven't we, tonight? They've been right at the thick of the action, which is what we love to see. There's been a few drivers, apologies that we haven't seen on the cameras tonight too much, but to be honest, it's the same drivers always getting in these sort of situations. And by the looks of it, Alex now got past John Newell, making up that position that he lost after that incident with Anthony Mott. Mark Hoskin and Mark Radcliffe as well. Again, two drivers that we've really mentioned so many times. And now going blows at each other to try and get the top 15. The 666 car is probably not a good omen for Mark Radcliffe as he goes up the inside of him into the first corner, and it is Mark Hoskin taking that 15th place away from Mark Radcliffe. Just looking at the previous times on the that these guys have set, to be fair, Mark Hoskin was a good 7/10 quicker. I've just realised I've had that hidden for the entire time. I do apologise, I try and only hide it for the first lap, and all of a sudden I forget to bring it back at all. Barry Rabbit, though, in first place is being followed by Chris Knox, knocking on the door. Just like the Raven, I'm sure will be probably quite annoying Barry Rabbit as well. Wide through 150R, looked quite easy flat through there. We were on board with Chris. And, well, a little bit of off tracks maybe to try and get the momentum to go past him. But it's a cleaner exit by Barry Rabbit, who may well have a good enough run here. He's got a very good run. He goes to the inside already. Going across the start-finish. It's the fastest lap of the entire race by Barry Rabbit. A very interesting feat considering he got overtaken through 150R. And he's overtaking Chris Knox now, the Ferrari, into the first corner. It's a good move by him as well. And all of a sudden, we're back to racing very close between these two drivers, just over halfway in this race. I have to say, a driver who's doing much better in this race than they have done in the previous two is Alex Martin in third place. We'll shoot to them in a second, but you can't really take your eyes off this one because it's going to be boiling down to the wire by the looks of it as Barry tries to force a mistake out of Chris Knox by defending him to within an inch of his life. Chris giving an old fake to the inside and seeing Barry wasn't biting. He knows full well where this circuit goes and he's trying to get a massive cutback. There's half a car's width and he tried to fit the front nose cone in there, but it wasn't happening this time round. Going through the right hand, and now you've got to keep the car fairly close to the right hand side if you're going to take the optimal line. But if you take it to the defensive line, you want it in the middle because you want the inside for the next corner and dips into the apex. Does Barry Rabbit. Chris having to come off the throttle far too much there, but he gets a clean run out. A little bit of a bump on the exit, but it's not going to hurt him too badly because he's going to have an awful lot of slipstream going towards 150R again. It's been a good place for Chris Knox to take positions away from a few drivers, including Barry Rabbit in the previous lap. And again, it's the same thing. Barry needs to carry more speed through there if he's going to have any chance of trying to keep Chris behind him. But in fact, no, because he just... Oh my days, I'm losing my words already. This is why you need a second commentator, Jack, because sometimes you just can't breathe at the action of the racing on screen here. Whew, my days. Barry is still defending from Chris Knox. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's a bit of a aggressive defensive maneuver. Get out of my way, says Barry. You're not having this position without a fight. Chris Knox going very nicely through, just about avoiding that and not getting too scared out of it either. I'll tell you what, they'll enjoy watching this one back as long as it doesn't all end in tears. I hope everybody has thoroughly enjoyed tonight. I know it's been a bit of a roller coaster of timings, but it's always nice to have a good stream. If anybody's wondering, I've just taken this brief minute to talk about this, but we're obviously coming into the second half of the week, and we're coming on to a new series on Jacko Racing. And again, I'll have to just cut off there because these two are going so close to each other. I think I'll just have to mention the new series. And yeah, basically it's on Friday, and I'll explain it in a minute. Chris looking all over the back of him yet again. And like I said, the optimal line is the racing line that Chris is trying to take here, but Barry's gone the defensive way. And it's a big late break by Barry, but that's just because Chris learnt his lesson from last time. He broke early, and he's trying to get the run. It's a big bump again, but just remember, this is where we've seen it twice now. Chris Knox going through 150R around the outside, and Barry needs to keep his foot in and run wider. Force Chris, oh, not that far! Oh my days! Force Chris to take a wider exit. Look how much space he gives Chris Knox on the outside there. And I realise it's because he wants to get back to the left-hand side, but he could do that while still forcing the Ferrari driver through. And there we go, Chris Knox gets a fantastic run out. Does Barry manage to keep it? He'll tuck up the backside of him now, and he'll get the slipstream himself. Will that be enough? Oh, there we go. Chris defending hard now going into the first corner. He's got the place for the third time of asking, and he wants to keep it. We're about to go onto the white flag lap. In fact, we're going into the first corner, so we are on the white flag lap. This will be the final lap of the race, and I think Chris Knox won't have led a single lap or bar the important one. The last one. The only one that anybody really wants to lead is the one that takes the checkered flag with. So Chris Knox is in the driving seat. That one at the moment. John Westbrook takes the fastest lap of the race in 5th place, 151.969, the fastest lap that we've seen all evening. And whilst they're on their white flag lap, I will just continue my advertisement for what is to come on Jacko Racing. We've got a Friday Night League coming up for the next gen Grid GTE iRacing League. I realise that Grid is a simulator, but it's actually also a hardware store and clothing shop. So that is going to be very exciting. So Grid are sponsoring the series. The cars, the GTE cars here on iRacing, going to be really exciting. There's a fair few of them. I've actually driven the BMW quite a bit, and that's a really fun car to drive, so I'm sure it'll be providing fantastic racing. And that is with the Next Gen crew, and I know Casey Eames, who's in the chat, will recognise the admin as Matt Emmons. Got us involved, which is fantastic, and I'm very much looking forward to doing that one. I think we the kick-off at 8 o'clock, and if anybody was following the Porsche PMR Cup that we had on Jacko Racing, it runs along the same format. It'll be a qualifying to grid up for race 1, which will be a 15-minute race, followed by, oh, Barry Rabbit going to the inside. That's a massive move, and he's over-rotated the car. Oh, he's going to not enjoy that one. He's launched everything at it. Luckily, he's got about a 16-second gap back to Alec Westbrook, but it's going to be Chris Knox to take the victory. And I have to say, that probably was the best overall race in terms of the race for two drivers at the top of the field that I've seen in the Pure GT series. And Barry Rabbit comes across the line. He did everything to try and launch it up the inside right at the end there, but it wasn't quite to be. And I just realised that I've got a few ping-a-ding-dings that I'm just going to mute for you. There we go. Apologies about that. Alec Westbrook actually came across the line to take third place. And we'll be able to bring you all the action as they come towards the line here at the back of the field, because Clive Bailey is 0.3 of a second back. No, he's not. He's a bit further now. Oh, having said that, though, Sam Marsh didn't get the best exit, but then again, neither did Clive. So it looks like it's going to be the way it is right at the end now. And across the line they come. We've just got a few last drivers to come before we get going on the results for tonight, and maybe one or two interviews on their way as well, which would be nice. Oh, Chris Knox is having a nice little pirouette there with another driver as they start to fly into each other. And hopefully we'll be able to bring you the results as soon as possible. But as I said, I think that was probably the best quality of racing that we've seen on the Pure GT. It's not a series, Pure GT racing. Since we've started broadcasting it here between Barry Rabbit and Chris Knox. Really enjoyable, that one. We'll be able to bring you confirmation of who won it. Right now, 6 seconds in the lead was Chris Knox, but that doesn't tell the story in the slightest. Barry Rabbit put up a fantastic defence, and they tried to have a good comeback as well right at the end, but it wasn't to be. You got to admire the spirit, though. Alec Westbrook was 16 seconds back from Chris Knox in third place, with Mike Tucker in fourth. John Westbrook rounds out the top 5. He also got the fastest lap of the race. 6th place was Anthony Mott with Alex Martin in 7th. Kevin McGlone in 8th place. Richard Aber in 9th. Mark Hoskin 10th. John Newell in 11th. Andy Montgomery was 12th with Mike Moss 13th. Sam Marsh in 14th. And rounding out the 15th was Clive Bailey. Christian Wafer was 16th, with Nick Phelps being 17th and David Harrison 18th. 19th was Paul Black. Mark Radcliffe in 20th. Adam Hayes in 21st. Martin Thomas was a lap down, and so was Havana Gevorgian. Peter Jennings and Nathan Gilmore didn't even take the start. And that is all she wrote for racing here this evening. And well, we've got a few drivers in the commentary box and in the interview waiting room, and one of which, well, let's take our winner first time. In fact, I tell you what, let's bring a few drivers into the waiting room, and I think we've got Chris Knox in. I'm just going to bring in Barry Rabbit as well, because that was a fantastic fight between the two of them. And, well, good evening, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Chris. Well, that was a hard-fought race, wasn't it, between yourself and Barry? You got there just at the end. You led the lap that mattered, but he wasn't giving that one up easy.
No, I need a shower. That was insane. Probably the best 4 laps on iRacing I've had. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, like I said, I need a shower.
Well, I mean, obviously I've done a lot of commentating, and I've obviously covered the last 4 rounds, or last couple of rounds of the Pure GT series, but I would say that was probably the best racing that we've seen on the Pure GT hands down, really. I mean, a lot of drivers will probably be out there wishing that we focused on them a little bit more. But to be honest, when you have that kind of exciting action, you just can't. There's no excuse for not following it. And Barry, you had the lead for the majority of the race, didn't you? You probably thought that maybe it was going to be as easy as the second race potentially.
Yeah, hi guys. No, that was a lot of fun. No, it was Chris did made it stick. He had a couple of attempts and then he nailed it perfectly around the outside into 130 euro, I think, from memory. And look, I had to have a go into the last corner, but it was a do or die, and it was more to die than to do, I think.
Well, I was going to ask about that. Chris, did you actually see him coming up the inside? Did you anticipate that one, that it was going to be a launch from about half a second back?
Yeah, so I sort of had it covered, really. I seen him coming, and I thought, on you go. If you can make it stop, then the win's yours. And so, yeah, just went wide, braked early, and watched his car rotate in front of me.
Yeah, it was a bit of a pirouette there, Barry, but it looked cool. So, and we did admire your efforts here in the comments box. What was the thinking every time we going up to 150R? Because Chris was flying around the outside of you, I think, in all 4 laps, wasn't he? But you were managing to get the slipstream down into the first corner. Was it something that you were sort of quite conscious about, and you knew that you could get him back into the first corner, or was it something you just couldn't stop?
No. Look, toe is a big thing there. So he was getting the toe on me, which was probably my mistake on the last lap. I wasn't quite close enough coming into the straight before 130 euro. So that was where I kind of lost it. But no, Chris had the toe. And then I was basically just either try and go around the outside, or if he was that little bit further ahead, I go for the switchback. So I kind of had 2 options every time, and I would just pick the one that best suited, depending on Chris's position. But look, a lot of fun. It's Patrick's Day here. I've had a typical Irish day, so I'm quite happy with my performance, all things considered, if you can read between the lines. Yeah, good fun, great race for Chris, good clean racing. He knows what he's doing, how to do it, and that's what we're here for.
Well, Chris, we'll end on you then, and I think you guys do a vote, don't you, of where you're off to next, but what's your feedback in terms of the no damage? Because it's a bit controversial. I'm sure the sim purists will probably not be too amused by hearing that we have no damage here tonight, but what's your opinion on it? Do you think it aided the racing in all?
Well, I mean, as I said to Barry just before we come on air here, there was a couple of times where we did touch, and if damage was on, that would have ruined like a very good race. So I'm kind of glad in a way damage was off, because it gave us a little bit of leeway room. But in all seriousness, with the rest of the guys, we trialled it last Friday night, and although obviously it's not as realistic as it would be with damage off, it certainly allows people to finish the race and not sit in the pit lane for 10-15 minutes with repairs. So it obviously gives you a lot more cars to commentate on as well.
And the thing about it too, Jack, is that the touches that me and Chris had, I'm fortunate enough to race single seaters in real life. None of them touches would have resulted in a non-finish in actual life. So I think the purest angle has to be looked at from both sides, because little touches in iRacing can result in catastrophic crashes, which don't really happen in real life. So, confident enough. I have a few scars on my real life car to help form an opinion. So anything that happened there in real life wouldn't have resulted in a major incident. So I think it's actually, insofar as me and Chris go, more realistic, to be fair.
That's interesting to hear, actually, isn't it? Because, I mean, the damage model on iRacing is constantly getting tweaked. It's forever getting tweaked, really, because it's pretty much impossible to do it all the way down to ultimate sort of realism. But it's interesting to hear you, because I've never raced the Dallara F3, and actually, what is it in comparison to sort of real-life single-seaters then, Barry?
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, as I said, I've got plenty of scar marks on my car, both given and received, and wheel-on-wheel contact does end up in big shunts, but it is possible to have little touches here and there, a nose into a gearbox or wheel into a side pod without ending up upside down and, flying through the air. So, no, I think it's pretty good with the no damage. You get a little bump, you get thrown offline, you got to get out of it, maybe a lift, maybe just a little swerve of the wheel or whatever. But it's actually, and I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, it's probably more realistic than damage on.
Very interesting perspective, and as I said, I don't know nearly enough to give my formal opinion. But well, I'll tell you what, lads, we'll let you go. Is there anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to? Chris first. I'll give Barry a minute to think of someone.
No, all good. It's just good being back on. I think I've not really been doing much testing this week because I've started a new job recently. So yeah, it was just good to have a break and get back on the sim with the guys.
Absolutely awesome. And anybody for yourself, Barry?
I'd just like to thank Coors Light for my performance this evening.
I was going to say, I'm amazed if it's St. Patrick's Day. How on earth are you stringing a sentence together, let alone out there winning races?
Practice. Pure and simple practice.
Well,
not of the sim variety.
No, exactly. I suppose if you're not allowed to do it in real life, you might as well do it in the sim.
What? You're not allowed to do it in real life? Hang on a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa.
We won't go into that. Barry, thank you very much for joining us. Chris, thank you very much as well. And we'll speak to you guys next week.
Cool.
Thank you, Jack.
Cheers,
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that was Barry Rabbit and Chris Knox. Always nice to have a chat to two of them, and it was fantastic to hear that they had such an entertaining race between the two of them as well. And it's the fact that, you know, I know Chris is an experienced iRacer himself in a lot of the series that I've covered. So it's really nice to hear that that was probably some of the best racing that he's had in iRacing. And I'm sure Barry, well, he said it himself, he really enjoyed it as well. And he obviously got that victory as well in the second race by quite a landslide as well. So let's bring it to an end. I think you guys can hear me. I've just realised. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think you can hear me. Right, thank you very much for everybody tuning in. I was just making sure that you guys could actually hear me on this scene, because sometimes it doesn't happen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Remember, we've got new racing on Friday with the iRacing, the next gen grid-powered GTE iRacing series. Bit of a difficult one, bit of a mouthful, but it's I'm going to get used to it as we go through the series. We're cracking on Friday at 8 o'clock, so by all means tune into Jacko Racing on YouTube and Facebook, and potentially Next Gen as well if I can co-stream to their page as well. Nice to be speaking to you. My name's been Jack Oliphant. This has been Pure GT. We'll be announcing where we are next week. Hopefully I'll be able to schedule the next stream a little bit cleaner than I did this week, but we'll see you then. Thank you very much for